So let's start off with current events, and then we'll move along with your history and things on your mind. Okay, so what have you been up to in the last month?
Wow. Fall started coming, the leaves. I wanted to get the gutters off my house before it snowed. I didn't get that done. I didn't want to get up and hurt myself taking those down on wet, slippery cedar wood that I would have had to stand on the pergola and do. We realized we needed a new furnace, needed a new chimney sweep, came in and did that. So we basically gotten the house winterized to the tune of about $10,000 worth of work, which I have to dig a new leach field for my septic tank. But
That's not glamorous.
it's not glamorous, but it's good, honest work.
That's true.
And I'm going to do that, and you've got to do it in the middle of the night so the neighbors don't see it, because somehow with the new environmental laws and stuff, they don't realize that they're afraid that my septic will leach down into the Black River, which is over 3/4 of a mile at a rate of about an inch every 100 years.
They might get Al Gore after you.
Might get Al Gore after me, but
he'll beat you with his Nobel Prize.
The 800 cows that are pooping in the Black River just upstream, that has nothing to do with the affluence or the bloom of algae in the river, and the reason why the trout seem to have what do you call it?
Teeth? Canines?
Yeah, the little things and spinach in between their teeth. But I'm doing a lot of work at the house trying to get it done, and then.
Did you follow the Red Sox in October?
We did.
What are your feelings on them winning?
The most amazing thing about that was I felt sorry for Manny Ramirez, who didn't get to play the last month of the season because he strained an oblique muscle. And everybody in Boston called him a malingerer, they called him a deadbeat, they called him everything because they were afraid that the Yankees were going to catch him and everything. And I said, would you like a healthy Manny at the end of the season, or do you want a 2/3 Manny at the end of the season? And he rested, and it cost him because he didn't get to drive in 100 runs. He didn't get to hit 300 for, I guess, the 13th straight season, which would have tied him with Roger Hornsby as the greatest right-handed hitter of all time.
But does he really care?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Which is amazing because, he's just the nice savant who goes out and can hit as good as anybody I've ever seen, and he was well rested.
Right.
And then we lose to Cleveland, and we're about ready to go onto the skids and go to the golf course with all the other also-rans in the American League. And he comes out with a statement that it really doesn't matter in the scheme of things. And everybody, again, chastises him in the city of Boston, basically because it's a Puritan work ethic there, and they don't adhere to that mañanaism that Manny has. And Manny goes out and hits 2 tremendous home runs and shots that wins the 2 ball games along with him and Ortiz, which brings it back to 3-3. Then they end up beating Cleveland.
He had an off-the-wall single.
Yeah, he did.
What's about that? You hit a home run? Is that even out of the park?
Yeah, and the funny thing is that ball went over the outfielder's glove and landed on the plywood and landed right on where the plywood meets to the fence and bounced back into the park. If it had gone another inch, it would have bounced into the stands. I believe it was a home run.
But still, shouldn't you hustle out of the batter's box?
Everybody in Boston says that. But Manny, to be able to know that ball is 1 inch out of the ballpark, and you're right. He just hits the ball, and he's so excited in himself that, he can, to inside out the ball and to think it's out of the ballpark. I mean, there's not too many people in the game of baseball who do that. Most guys drive the ball or pull the ball, but he has this ability to undercut the ball with a what I call a bottom hand swing, which Aaron was famous for, and has a very strong bottom hand and can slice the ball out of the ballpark.
Now, you've been with the Red Sox, and you had ups and downs with the team. Now that they've won 2 World Series in a short period of time, will the image of tragic heroism be replaced with spoiled corporate?
Wow. Not in this ball club.
Okay.
I don't think that this ownership, there's something about John Henry that seems to be a very humble person and not to be the ego-driven eccentric that Steinbrenner was, you know.
Right.
And I believe they're different. I mean, it seems to be a coalition of four owners that have come together, and they don't step on one another. They seem to be pretty much in sync on how they're doing it. They give the kid, Theo, the reins to kind of put the club together.
Right.
But the thing is, John Henry has more money than Steinbrenner. He has a formula on the commodities market. He can go out and make $1 billion any day he wants to.
And why doesn't he?
Because he's already done it. And
Gotcha.
now he just wants to sit back and watch the Red Sox, and then he's got into the NASCAR, which I don't really agree with, but they're going to end up buying Laconia, you know, the town of probably the whole state of New Hampshire, you know, live free or die, and then they're going to be running those left turns.
Right.
NASCAR, what does it stand for? Non-athletic centered around rednecks. Or something. Non-athletic sports centered around rednecks. You know, and all they do is make left turns all day long.
So with the team salary being inflated, $200 million, will the cost of going to a game exceed the reach of the average New Englander?
Eventually.
Eventually?
I think it has to this extent because of supply and demand. You have such a small venue, the demand is so great that there's no realm of how many people will pay that freight
Right.
to go to that one game. I mean, my daughter's calling me from Memphis. Dad, can you get me 2 seats for this? And
Right.
I'm going, you know, my girlfriend's going to be doing a seminar in town on this day, and
Right.
they're willing to pay. There are more Red Sox fans around the world than I believe almost Yankee fans now.
Why is that?
Because there's more people originally settled in New England than instead of the city of New York.
Right.
So there is kind of this Big Apple mentality of New York, but there's kind of a foundational New Englandism across the country that everybody adheres to their roots.
It even comes up to Montreal.
Well, it does,
It
you know,
does.
because there were a lot of French and English transposed back and forth. I mean, what's the town? Woonsocket, Rhode Island is almost 75% French. There's a Case Populaire in the
Right.
city of Manchester, especially East Manchester, New Hampshire, which are all mill people. You have Waltham, Massachusetts, which is a large French settlement, and it was back and forth. The guy that went to jail in our hometown of Craftsbury, the big farm up there, he opened the bank, doesn't speak a word of English, and he smuggled most of his fortune down in the tires of his John Deere tractor when he opened the first bank. Noel Lucier.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's you know, behind every great fortune is a great crime.
That's
Whether
true.
it be in the tires of your John Deere tractor,
Or the Kennedy family. Whoops.
or the Kennedy family, you know, and the Brothmans, which interchanged a lot of alcohol across St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yes, Al Capone.
Al Capone has his
True.
caves
He
in.
came here.
Where did he have his caves? Moose Jaw, that's right. The end of the Chicago Railroad ends up in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Supposedly where Capone used to smuggle all his stuff. And those Flatlanders, you gotta watch them.
Going from innocent until proven guilty. Barry Bonds.
Oh my gosh. What a travesty. It's almost like the Jack Johnson case, you know, where he gets convicted of the Mann Act, transporting a white female across borders, you know, and sentenced 2 years after the deed when they finally passed the law.
Right.
Now they've passed the law on Barry Bonds, and you know, and the semantics behind bovine growth hormone and all the other hormones that guys are taking and stuff like that. It's a witch hunt in some respects, because right in the back of an airline magazine, we saw today that John Glenn, the famous astronaut, is using that substance.
And politician.
And politician,
Yeah.
true. So it's all a matter of, you know,
All right, so
find out what is good for society and stuff before you start coming down. This clear may be the greatest thing in the world since Ponce de Leon discovered the Fountain of Youth in Florida.
Will this ruin his chance to go into the Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, it's the same thing like McGuire pleads the Fifth Amendment and cries on a federal stand, and everybody knows in Tom Hanks' movie there's no crying in baseball.
That's
So
right.
he jeopardized himself that he cried more than the fact that he took the fifth. And what he used at the time and what him and Canseco were using was not a banned substance. It was completely legal until the word got out, and then they finally made it illegal. And then who says he used it after it was banned, a banned substance? We only have his testimony before. And the same with Bonds. Bonds, did he use a growth hormone? Probably. Was it illegal at the time? Probably not. So you can't convict a person of a crime until the law is on the books. And that would be my defense for Bonds. And it may go down. Did he lie to a grand jury? I think everybody lies. I know Doc Ellis, every time he opens his mouth, he's lying.
He didn't pitch that perfect game on acid?
He never pitched that perfect game on acid. You can't throw the ball over 12 miles an hour on acid. You're just going to look at the ball going, wow, that's a beautiful ball. Wow, this is great. I think I'll keep it.
Yeah, and since he was probably batting, he must have been terrified at the opposing ball coming at him.
Oh, you just don't. I remember the guy tried to kill Jack Anderson by rubbing LSD on his steering wheel.
Oh.
And what's that going to do? He's going to make him drive 5 miles an hour.
he's going to be in
won't
park.
even make the airbags come out, deploy. So, there's a lot of weird stuff that's happened in this game that makes it an interesting game.
Speaking of weird, Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, Alex.
A-Rod.
A-Rod is coming back to the Yankees, and this is a good thing for Red Sox fans because with him around, they'll never win. He just seems to have a bad karma sitting on his shoulder.
He should be from A-Rod to the Albatross.
Yeah, poor A-Rod, he's a great hitter when the game's not on the line, but you put runners at second and third, and you got to come up with a single, and it's hard to swing that bat with one hand around your throat.
If we were to flash back, big day in baseball history, I'm talking huge. April 14th, 1979, the Expos defeat the Cubs 2-0. But most notably, it's the birth of Youppi.
Oh my gosh.
What was your first reaction when you saw that big orange fur ball?
Exactly. It looked like something that got caught in a cat's mouth, right before he throws up on your sidewalk and stuff, and you hope the cat's outside of the house and not on your bed when the fur ball gets stuck in there. But it's large, big items generate. Kids love them. Like the other day, they'll run up and pet a lion. They'll run up and do a lot of stuff that they probably shouldn't do because of the size. And it was brought on by Disney, I think, originally.
Did you haze them?
Pardon me?
Did you or your teammates ever haze the mascot?
No. We actually liked the guy when he got his uniform off because he was sweating bullets all the time and he was exhausted, and he put on a pretty good show. He was no chicken. He was no Philly fanatic. There were only a few mascots. You could count all the good mascots on one hand. And it wasn't so much that they were a caricature, the fact that they had real personality and they could act a little bit and had spontaneity, that I did not mind. The fact that you were using a large object to try and bring people into the ballpark that really didn't want to go to a baseball game, that I objected to.
He got under Tommy Lasorda's skin and got ejected.
Yes, he did. He got under our manager, the Philly fanatic, got under, he wanted Larry Parrish to hit him with a baseball bat.
Did he?
Kill that son of a bitch. Kill him like that. I'm going, wait a second, this is an inanimate object, and you're coming down on the wrong thing. That's a psychological problem there.
That's weird.
Mr. Fanning.
That is weird.
Had to do something with your father figure that you didn't receive something when you were young, and We know this. If you'd ever read Auto Rank and you'd ever read Denial of Death by Ernest K. Becker or read any basic Freud, you'd realize that you have a real bad anal retentive problem. But
let's talk about Canada and the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame.
My gosh, St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. If I'm the committee and you're Billy, which you are.
Yeah.
But I'm not the committee, but you're Billy.
Well, Voight runs that thing, the guy that used to play for the Windsor Chiefs. Ooh. And he keeps telling me that I'm going to be in there. But the funny thing is, I'm not in the Red Sox Hall of Fame. I'm not in the Expos Hall of Fame. Actually, I was in the Expos Hall of Fame. I had a caricature made of me when it was at the old Olympic Stadium.
Right.
And I was one of the people most endeared because of Petro-Canada.
Right.
Where they asked all the fans in Canada who they thought should be there, and I received a lot of votes from fans.
That's good.
But not from management. And I will never, like the Red Sox, I'm probably one of the top winningest percentage-wise left-handers in Red Sox history. I have the most appearances of anyone in Red Sox history. I was a great fielding pitcher. I brought a lot of people to the stands. They love me, but I'll never make the Red Sox Hall of Fame either, because of the fact that I'm a Noam Chomsky laborer.
Manufacturing consent.
Exactly. I'm the kind of guy, Eugene Debs. I'm the kind of guy that socialist that believes in spreading the wealth and not consolidating into the fist of one person's hand. And that is what really alienates me to a capitalistic society and drives management nuts and stuff. But I believe in honest capitalism.
Right.
I just don't believe in,
But I'm gonna get to that in word association.
Okay.
It's gonna be good. It'll be good.
Well, I'm not a good word associator. Sometimes I am, but
that's okay. It's all right. So, what is your? It's a tough question. What are some of your favorite baseball memories in Canada?
Oh heck!
I was gonna say
hitting the home run in St. John's, Newfoundland, to beat Saskatchewan. In the Quebec, I played for Team Quebec.
Do you enjoy batting?
I enjoy hitting more than anything else. It's the hardest thing to do. It takes timing. You've got to get the right pitch. You've got to deliver. Pitching is repetition, cardiovascular, hard work, and I'm good at it, and I'm persistent. But hitting in the clutch is some of the hardest things in the world to do. And hitting, I think, is the most difficult thing in all of professional sport to do. Because if you hit 3 out of 10 base hits, you can go to the Hall of Fame. And then, therefore, you failed 7 out of 10 times. And I've always thought hitting, the defense never sleeps.
Right.
Hitting is desire and hard work and repetition. Pete Rose, Manny Ramirez, Freddie Lynn, some of the most beautiful swings in baseball, And but
that must have upset you with the DH rule.
Well, the DH really hurt me because I liked to swing the bat when I was in high school and in college. And I hit for the cycle when I hit a single, double, triple, and a home run against the University of Oregon. Had some really great games in college. And I had some great games in the pros. Probably my favorite game was when I beat the Chicago White Sox in a really torrential rainstorm by throwing nothing but slow stuff.
It's in here.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. And the time that I pitched loaded with hash, and the ability to be able to overcome when you've over toxicity in your body, that you can win when you're hurt. Juan Marichal was one of the great pitchers because he could always win when he didn't feel good. And anybody can win when they feel good, but can you win when you feel poor? I won 3 games last year in the over 60 World Championship on a bum knee.
Ooh.
And I have that bum knee today, and I paid the price. And literally in the last 2 nights, I've told myself that I am not going to play again if it entails living in this kind of pain. But I believe I have hunting reflex, which is a thing that runners get when
Diane disagrees.
She does.
You agree to disagree?
We agree to disagree. She says, I say, are you confused? and that's one of the great books that I read by Pablo Arriola. that makes her gag, who's a Brazilian, that looked really good. And it's got chapters like, is milk your friend or your fiend? Coffee enemas. Things like weird stuff that they did back in the old days. But actually the Kellogg family and the Post family and the Road to Wellness cereals were all based on some ways.
Your teammate Ferguson Jenkins in every Hall of Fame.
Yes, he's in the Canadian Hall of Fame.
He is.
Thing is, has Fergie hit a home run in every Canadian province? I don't think so. Has Fergie thrown a complete game in every Canadian province? I don't think so. I threw a 7-inning complete game in 54 minutes in Fergie's hometown.
No way.
Yeah.
How come he doesn't get on the phone and try and get you in?
Well, Fergie's, once those guys get in the Hall of Fame, it's there's only so much in the pot. And if you get more people in the Hall of Fame, the pot gets diffused. So the Hall of Famers are really notoriously, they've got really short arms and really long pockets.
I have to ask this because I'm going to get in trouble if I don't.
Yeah.
But you don't have to answer it again.
Yeah.
Someone was upset that I didn't have the camera on when I mentioned Doug Harvey. You met him some way, somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Canadians defenseman, fall from grace, cautionary tale, great player.
Well, Doug Harvey, the last time I saw him, he had a hunting knife, about a 7-day growth of beard. He was sitting on a hillside outside of Sussex, New Brunswick, where we had just going to play a softball game with Eddie Feigner and the King of his Court. And I had my children with me, and this crusty old guy walks up to me and he goes, "You're Bill Lee?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Eddie Feigner?" I said, "Yes, Eddie Feiner's going to be here." I played against Eddie Feigner. And then he says, "You know, the greatest experience I ever had, the greatest award I ever had, was I won the Ottawa Baseball League. I led that league in hitting, and Hillary and Bradich sent him a silver bat because the fact that he led the league in hitting." And I went, "Who are you?" He goes, "Oh, I'm Doug Harvey." And I went, "The Doug Harvey?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Did they fine you when they released you that last day in Montreal?" I said, "I believe they did." He says, "That's illegal." Because he was a player rep too.
Right.
And he goes, they can fine you or they can release you, but they can't do both.
They double dipped on you.
They double dipped on me. And then he told me the story about, about missing the charter flight and ended up on a boat with a sea captain out of New York. And they ended up he missed 3 games because they found him about 400 miles off the coast of Halifax. And I'm going, I've missed a few games, but I've never been on a ship that far out in the Atlantic.
Oh.
He was great. He was great. And I guess he was dead about 3 months later.
Oh. Cirrhosis.
Yeah, he was pretty bad shape. He looked kind of paley, pasty and stuff. But
with all the accolades, and there's articles about you. If I went on the web, somebody is name dropping you, or there's an article about you. What's the biggest misconception that the public may have of you?
That I'm flaky, because they think that he's left-handed, he's crazy, that he's different. But I said, what do you expect out of a North Paw world? And that the powers that be, they want to make you seem unacceptable to the masses, because it's not right, because of what I believe in. But I think there's a method to my madness, that I'm well-founded. I've got a lot of foundational statistics to back up the way I think.
Right.
And I'll debate any subject, anytime, with anybody. And that's,
That's good.
That's the whole thing. And I will use their argument against them. I think I could have been a good debater. Yeah, I was a master debater.
I knew you that was coming. Saw that one. During the course of 2006, you, along with Oil Can Boyd, traveled the country playing ball games. What was it like being with them, and what was the mission statement?
Oh, wow. Can put together a team, and then when I saw the lineup, I was the only white guy on the team. I'm going, Can, am I the token white guy on this tip? And he goes, don't worry, Bill. I'll compensate you. I'll take care of you and stuff. So I played like 5 games with him. he gave me $150. And I went, wow, I drove 3,000 miles. I put myself up in my own hotel room. I fed myself. Now I know what it's like to be a slave. And he goes, Can? I go, and the funny thing is, I go out to pitch against the Nashua Pride after a tornado disrupted our first game down in the Brockton Rocks. And I get out and I warm up. It's 49 degrees. And his bus is late getting there because they got caught in an accident on 495. So he shows up about 20 minutes late. I'm warmed up, ready to go. He says, Bill, you're not starting. I said, Can, it's 49 degrees. I'm warmed up. But he says, well, we got another game. I said, I can't really shut it down at my age and expect to start it back up again. And so, I'm sorry, Bill, you're not pitching. So I said, okay. I picked all my stuff up, went in, took a nice shower at Nashua. They had that really good old-time stadium pressure. And got cleaned up, went out, bought a bottle of tequila.
Oh, nice.
Diane and I went back to a hotel room, and I don't know what we watched. Probably watched the Red Sox and sipped on tequila. And Can dropped a doubleheader. And then Can goes, Bill, you walked out on me. I went, yeah, I did. I said, I walked out on the Expos, I walked out on the Red Sox. You were easy.
Monkey mix?
And then 2 days later, he calls me and he got a game in Quebec City. He goes, Bill, we need you to pitch in Quebec City. And I go, Quebec City? I'll go. So we drove all the way up to Quebec City, and they stayed in some flea bag hotel down off the mountain. And we stayed in the Hotel Frontenac.
Oh, nice.
I got a beautiful room. Diane had never been to Quebec City. We did the Funicular. We went out. I went out and pitched the ball game. Had 2 good innings, and then they just ripped me.
Ooh.
They had about 4 Cubans on the team. I can't get Cubans out. I can't get anybody out that's got a vowel at the end of their name. But it was good. It was a good experience.
No Italian baseball league for you.
I tried. I tried to get in there, but Win Remmerschwall, the old Red Sox pitcher, ended up taking my job. I was going to pitch for San Marino, that little principality up on the top of the mountain where they have the Grand Prix.
But the tour was to spread awareness for the upcoming Urban Baseball League? Is that it?
I don't think so.
No?
This is Can talking.
Okay.
This is Can trying to do stuff for Can. He calls me up. This is a good story. This is Can. He goes, Bill, I hear there's a game, the DiMaggio game. How much they pay? And I said, $1,000. You know, I said, oh, count me in. I said, okay, Can. He says, but I'm on the Red Sox cruise. I'm on the boat.
That's
and we're going to be off the coast of San Juan. I said, so you're going to miss it, you know? I'll get back. I said, what are you going to do, jump off the cruise ship? I said, you're out in the Caribbean. And then finally, he's worked it out. They're going to drop him off a day early. He's going to fly from San Juan to Fort Lauderdale. He's going to get there in the 2nd inning, and they're going to give him $500.
Nice.
You know, I go, that's Can, and I'm going. You know, he is just...
He can do.
He can do. He's going to try and do it, and you know, it's he's the modern day Satchel Paige. You know, but the money's got to be on the table for Can.
Yeah, that's all right.
He's not doing this for
pro bono.
He ain't doing this for the urban interleague. Dress them up, get those kids out of the crack dens. Let's play baseball.
All right, so I'm glad you did the segue to Satchel Paige. Let's talk about weird pitches and their legacy.
Oh, Satchel.
Yeah.
I heard an interview with Simon on National Public Radio one day, and I had to pull off the road. It was so beautiful. It was poignant, and I almost cried. You know, I always wanted to be Satchel Paige, you know, or at least play as many games or try to win as many games. And I think I'm getting up there.
That's good.
You know, but I think I've unless I get my left knee fixed in the next couple of days, I could postpone it. Fine. I just don't like. I'm the kind of guy when I want to go to bed, I go to sleep. And the last 2 days, I have not been able to sleep, and this is a rare event for me. I mean, I'm 61 years old almost, and this is the first 2 nights I haven't been able to sleep. And I said, I might give up baseball for sleep. And then as Warren Zevon said, I'll sleep when I'm dead. You know,
That's right. So let's
um,
talk about Satchel for a second, because
oh, yeah.
you're a pitcher. He's a pitcher.
Yes.
Or was a pitcher. What is the hesitation pitch?
When you wind up and then you stop and then you throw.
Is that illegal?
No.
It's not a balk?
No. You can be smooth and boom. Out of a stretch, you have to, once it's all a matter of semantics. Do you really stop? Not really.
Not really.
Like they say, did you come to a stop? No one really comes to a stop. You come down there and your hands are still moving.
Right.
Imperceptibly. You think you're holding them still, but as long as you got a pulse and you're not, rigor mortis hasn't set in, you're moving. And I tried to explain that to an umpire and he goes, that's a little deep for me, Bill. And I go, but Satchel, that's a hesitation. They had Long Tom, he had his little curveball.
This one sounds like a rock song. The 4-Day Rider.
The 4-Day Rider.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
I don't know what that is. I was trying to find it. And he has the Trouble Ball and the Balby Ball.
The Balby Ball.
Yeah, Balby Ball.
Wow.
But that's okay, because moving along.
That's funny, because I do the same. I have a little slow curve. I have the 3/4 curve. I have the sidearm curve. You know, I have the hesitation drop down. Looks like a curve, but I end up jamming left-handers all day long. I wear their thumbs out. I call it my Carlos May fastball because he lost part of his thumb in a mortar accident when he was in the Marine Corps.
Right.
So I always tried to get in his kitchen because he was missing one digit. But he could hit. That other hand was strong.
How about the Screwball? I mean, that's just a funny name.
Screwball is just here's your fastball.
Right.
This is your curve. Screwball is what I call an Egyptian, you get your arms out and go. That's screwball in parts with your thumb spins the other way.
Can you break your arm doing that?
No, you just get on top of it and come, show fastball, pull it down, slow it down, throw it about 15 miles slower than your fastball, and it fades away. It's like Christy Matheson threw a fadeaway, Carl Hubble threw a fadeaway. Some guys faded away harder than others.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Glavine throws a fadeaway, Maddox throws a fadeaway.
Oh.
Clemens, when he slows it down, he can ride that fastball away. That could be a hard fadeaway. But the screwball is just in part spin the other way. You have one seam that rolls all the way around. And being able to take that ball and making it do... We were called cunny thumbers, like that...
yes, it's in here.
It's in that one, yeah.
Don't Google it, because it might be something dirty.
Well, that's exactly what it was. A cunny is a rabbit.
Ooh.
That's where it comes from in Old England. And you can look up cunny thumber, you can look it up and there'll be on the web, it'll go to a porno site, probably.
Probably.
But that's what my dad, and the funny thing is I asked my dad that and he said, no, I never said that to you. So where did that come from?
But parents are lying that all the time. I'll tell my parents who said this, I never said that. Emmanuel Wall, you must have been dreaming again.
Exactly.
I never said that.
And I believe in Dr. Penfield. Everything that's ever been said to you is in your brain. Everything you've ever experienced is in your brain. It's in your hard drive. And if you can take a metal rod and hit those neurons, every memory, everything that you've ever done will come back. That would not be a good thing for me.
No.
I do not want to relive.
You remember what happened? No, I blacked out. Don't remember.
Don't remember. Forgetting is a great asset.
It is. Phil and Joe Negro mastered the knuckleball.
Yes.
Now, is that a weird pitch? I mean,
knuckleball is, I hate the knuckleball because I have a good one. I threw it. Funny thing is, I beat San Jose this fall out in Arizona. The team that had beaten me 2 years before in the father-son, I came out and had to pitch the second game of a doubleheader, and we had to win that game. And I was exhausted, and I said, hell with it, I'll just throw knuckleballs. Right. And I ate them up with that knuckleball.
Nice.
I ate them up with that knuckleball. But the thing is, when the wind's right and you're throwing it and you have the right ball, it's the fates.
Does an emery board help the
No,
knuckleball?
the knuckleball, you want that ball not to have any blemishes on it.
Right.
The cleaner, the purer the ball and the seams, the more it will flutter and dance. And you can pronate it with this finger and it'll go down and away. You can push it with this finger and it'll go down and in. You can get underneath of it like Wakefield and you can make it ride up. He's got a fast knuckleball, a slow knuckleball, a slower knuckleball.
Right.
And And he doesn't know where they're going, the hitter doesn't know where they're going, the umpire doesn't know where they're going. But if he throws the first one for a strike, you can make the hitter all of a sudden start swinging at bad pitches, and that's when Wakefield has a good year. When it's ball one, ball two, then Wakefield has to throw a straight ball, and his straight ball's only 74 miles an hour.
So they're spanking it.
They're spanking it. It's called meat.
Nice, nice.
So
what's a leafus pitch?
That's a slow curveball that I try to break straight down through the strike zone. I like it to hit the front shoulder, go right through the heart of the plate, and land up right on the ground, on the back leg. And thereby, umpires always call it a ball.
Right.
But I'm saying, at one point in time, that ball was in the strike zone.
And that's at one point.
In one point. Doesn't have to be in the strike zone all the time.
But was in the strike zone when it crosses the plate?
Exactly, when it crosses the plate.
Is that similar to an ephus pitch?
Same thing. Ephus was thrown by Rip Sewell without spin. He got down and shot-putted it up and tried to make it drop straight down.
Right.
Mine has rotation, which is actually an improvement on the ephus pitch. Because if you have the wind in your face and you throw it properly, once it creates drag, it starts breaking straight down. It's almost impossible.
Did you create that, or is it by accident?
It's just by knowing physics.
Okay.
And knowing that when it's raining, hitters don't like to look up in the rain, having to wait for this thing to drop. Exactly, it makes them blink. And I found out that you have to swing harder on a slow pitch to hit it further, thereby you're making guys go outside of the realm of their good swing. And it's a great pitch for kids to learn. Doesn't hurt your arm, you know, but it's an anti-authority pitch.
Oh.
I pitched that pitch, and I remember both managers wanted to fight me. The opposing manager and my manager, who thought I was showing up their hitters.
Right.
Both of them did, because managers are hitters. Very seldom are they pitchers.
But they're normally not too good hitters.
Exactly. They like to be challenged.
Okay.
Hitters like to be challenged. They hate it when you don't challenge them. They always yell at you.
Come on, I'm
Come
only
on, exactly. Come on, let's mano a mano. I'm going, why? You're big, strong, you lift weights. Why would I? You know,
right, why would I play to your strength?
Why would I play to your strength, you dumb hitter?
Is there, keeping the hitter versus pitcher, is there like a Freemason group of pitchers who all conspire against hitters?
All pitchers conspire against hitters.
Right, even if
we find out that one guy can't hit a breaking ball, 3 games down the league, this guy's out of the league, and he says, how did all those pitchers know I couldn't hit a breaking ball?
Like Bo Jackson couldn't hit a curveball.
Boom, 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 boom. It's like drums. They go out through the league. Boom, 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 boom. Guy chases high fastball. Next thing you think, it's on the web.
That's right.
The web was out there way before the web. Pitchers
had a network.
Pitchers have a network. We're the guys that have to run, we have to shag, we have to pick up the balls, we have to bring them here, we have to do that. Pitchers are like privates in the Army. There's a whole bunch of them. You know,
right.
There's only a couple third basemen.
Right.
You know, and there's only these hitters out there, and they think we're out there just to serve their purpose. Ted Williams used to say that all the time.
You're just here to serve me?
Just here to serve.
Pick my bags and shut up.
Exactly. And
nice.
You know,
well, not so nice.
We never really adhere to that. Pitchers, we have a union.
We
have
do.
a union within a union.
It's like a cabal.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is.
Which would explain why pitchers develop the spitball. Is that like, here, hit this,
when you hurt
you?
Well, when you hurt your arm, let's say you're pitching and all of a sudden you used to throw the ball and it moved, but now you've hurt your arm, you can't throw the velocity to make it move anymore.
Right.
You go right to the slippery elm, you chew that, you start using KY gel in your hat. The Ross Grimsley, you know, you hit the ball to third and the umpire pick it up and throw it in the stands. Why? He says, well, I got it on the wet side. Now the ball squirts out and then you can't throw the ball to first base.
So if Vaseline's off the market, pitchers are out of the job?
Bad pitchers are out of the job. Good pitchers stand it, but when you get hurt, you'll try anything to stay in this union. You know, you want to. It's better. Would you like to dig at leach field by hand, or would you like to ride in first class and make $95,000 a year
as minimum salary?
As minimum salary. I think I'll go for door number 2.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the gyro ball?
That is. You know, funny thing is, the gyro ball is a backup slider that's cut by Matsuzaka.
Right.
And you throw the slider, but he gets his elbow in here and it spins. It spins like a screwball. It backs up on him.
Because it sounds like something you eat.
Yeah, a gyro ball, and basically it is. It's a slow slider that he undercuts with his elbow, and it backs up. It's a bad pitch, but when a hitter sees spin, he assumes it's going to break away from him.
Right.
But this ball spins and it backs up and it jams him and stuff. But the funny thing is, because it's slow and if he gets it up, good hitters don't get jammed by slow stuff.
They don't.
No, they crush it.
They crushed it. Were you ever crushed?
Oh yeah.
Was there a nemesis that you can never get out, or had better performance against you than someone else?
Yeah, I would say Bill Matlock. I couldn't get him out. Thurman Munson. They stayed back. They kept their hands back, and I didn't quite throw hard enough to get the ball by them. And they were great off-speed hitters. Great off-speed hitters can hit me good. And most of your Latinos are good off-speed hitters because no one's so hot down there. No one throws that hard very much. Right. Everybody learns the breaking ball South America because it's so hot.
But now it's all about speed.
Well, velocity is great. Yeah, there's no substitute for velocity. But if you're throwing hard all the time,
you're one-dimensional.
You're one-dimensional. And Reggie Jackson used to say, "I can time a jet."
Nice.
So he could hit them dead.
I didn't know he could tell time. All right, let's do. I had fun with this last time. I've changed it up just a bit. Classic and contemporary word association, but they won't always be proper names. So they're going to be rapid fire. Daffy, Dazzy, Dizzy, Ducky.
Medwick, Dean, Medwick. They're all St. Louis Cardinals. They're all crazy.
They're all
the Gas House gang.
That's there's no one has nicknames like that anymore.
No one has nicknames like that.
Daffy, Dazzy, Dizzy, Ducky.
Isn't that great?
And so I'm sure someone was known as Dashing somewhere. John Henry of the Red Sox.
John Henry. Sounds like a steel driving man. But he's so soft. He's like he's just ethereal, you know, as an owner, and he's so nice, you know. He doesn't remind me of your traditional owners.
How about Branch Rickey?
Ooh, Branch Rickey, the Methodist. Bible thumping, you know, and everything he supposedly, he just wanted to win. And he knew the timing was right to bring in Jackie Robinson.
Who played for the Royals.
Yes, he did.
In Montreal.
I think Branch was an opportunist, but a good baseball.
Oh, good. Curse of the Billy Goat.
Curse of the Billy Goat. That's Chicago. You know, that's Chicago White Sox when they didn't let that guy bring the goat in.
Is it the White Sox or the Cubs?
Oh, Cubs. Sorry, you're right. It's a Cubby. That's the curse of the goat is the Cubbies' curse, not like the curse of the Bambino, which has been rectified.
But that's cooler than the curse of the goat. Well, I got the Billy Goat curse.
Oh, I know. You know, what is it? What's it? Woody Allen?
Right.
All you wanted to know about sex, but were afraid to ask.
Right.
You know, what do Cub fans do with that goat? You know,
Interleague play.
Interleague play was created to try and get attendance up, but it became a pretty neat thing because you get to see other games played without the designated hitter, and you get to see all the other players. It's very hard on the players today because there's more travel. Their schedule's more erratic, but they get compensated so much now. You know, I think that's a small price to pay for what they
Yeah, suck it up.
Suck it up, boys, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed the American League teams do better than the National League teams.
Because of the designated hitter rule and the fact that the American League teams spend more money on hitters.
But they win the All-Star games and World Series now.
Yes, they do, and that's because of the fact that they've got more talent.
Right.
1 through 9 than the National League. National League still plays little ball defense and stuff, and they just can't. I don't think they can put a lineup out there like that.
The Federal League.
The Federal League, wow. That was the old American League, I think,
a third rival league.
Oh, the third rival league that came out, right? And then
they got sued.
Well, exactly, but you got to realize that that owners are trying. They'll always try to sneak something else in there and stuff. You know, you had the what was the American Football League,
Right.
and then they became part of the
NFL.
Super Bowl, and then the NFL, and then it's.
But the Federal League's claim to fame are Wrigley Field, and baseball is prevented with the antitrust. You can't sue Major League Baseball for antitrust.
Oh, I did not know that. That's neat. Well, I knew the antitrust thing was out there, and that's why they can depreciate you. If they pay A-Rod $26 million, they can depreciate his salary. And therefore they don't have to pay taxes on him as an asset.
Oh.
And that's a big thing about the antitrust.
What's this strange group here? The Royal Order of the Buffalo Heads.
Oh, the Royal Order of the Buffalo Heads, created by the great Canadian Ferguson Jenkins, who said the buffalo was the dumbest animal on the planet. Indians used to run them off of cliffs, head smashed in Alberta. They didn't even waste arrows on them.
Oh.
They just get them going over there and direct them over a cliff, and those things will just keep running over that cliff.
Oh.
Meat will pile up.
The dynamic duo of Sandy Koufax and Dan Drysdale.
Oh, man. They were the first two to hold out and try to get $1 million between them with the Dodgers, because they were the number 1 and 2 pitchers in the National League.
Oh.
And they were the first real holdouts during spring training, and Walter O'Malley would have nothing to do with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they ended up compensating them very well, and they were well worth it. They were the first 2 holdouts that I knew of.
That's cool. All right, so right here, The Wrong Stuff. Originally published in 1984, republished in 2004.
Yes, the funniest book to come out since Ball 4.
Right.
And Ball 4 wasn't funny, according to the Yankees.
No, Mickey Mantle a drunk?
Yeah, Mickey Mantle, womanizer.
Who knew?
Who knew?
But why?
Well, I know one thing. What was Karen Klink,
Right.
who went out with him when she was 16 years old, told me about the experience. And then I ended up meeting Karen Klink at a pool in Baltimore when she was dating one of the Oakland A's. Held that name out there for you, big guy, so you don't get in trouble with your old lady. and Klink, she comes up to me, and I end up going out with her for a while, and she worked in the commissioner's office.
Whoa,
so I had
close
inside
by.
information. I had a mole in the commissioner's office.
Who was the commissioner?
That would be Bowie Kuhn. And her and her girlfriend used to double date with all the teams out there and stuff. And, then about 12 years ago, a guy runs up to me and he goes, "Hey, you know me?" I go, "No." He says, "I'm Karen Klink's husband."
Ooh.
And I said, "Well, you, I, and the Mick have something in common." It's like, holy.
How did it come up about writing the book? Were you approached, or did you say, "Hey, I want to write a book"?
I was approached.
All right.
I was approached by Lolly, who is the guy out of New York City that writes a lot of guides and loves baseball, and he's very, very informative and gives me a lot of information. But
How long did it take to write the book?
4 days.
4 days. Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, we wrote this in a cabin in Quebec, up outside of Sutton, Quebec, and it was done, bang, dupe, and then I got upset with the publisher and everybody else because I went to play in Latin America and they never got me to read the Bound Classic. And the end of the book, it had some disparaging things against Mary Lou, my first wife, and I really apologized to her after that and stuff because she was a great lady, and there's nothing I can say that, she's really helped me out a lot, and we've gotten along good with the kids, and I've got all the grandkids and stuff, and she put up with me for all those years, and that's something to her, stick-to-itiveness.
Right. So
I don't leave people. They tend to hit me with a shovel.
in the book, you mentioned your approach to be part of the ERA movement.
The equal
Equal Rights Amendment.
Yeah.
In the 1970s. Was that just someone calling you up and saying, "Hey"?
Oh yeah, Normal called me for the normalization of marijuana legislation. Fair Share wanted to do a lot of stuff. Mass Commission Against Discrimination, Mass Commission Against Handguns. I've worked for a myriad of causes, Common Cause, all these things that were way out before Al Gore. You know, I believed in global warming in 1969.
Al Gore invented global warming.
No, he didn't. The Meadows, actually, all these people, professors out of Harvard, where he went to school, they're the ones, you know, and Al Gore he's late to the party.
He invented Harvard.
He invented Harvard.
And the internet.
Yeah. No, he's
When you put the book together, was there any, like Ball 4, did you anticipate any backlash? People calling you up saying, how can you write this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the wrong stuff.
Right.
You know, I'm not the right stuff. I parodied. I got the title right because I wanted it to be, about spam in a can, about the space program and everything else. If astronauts are not the right stuff,
right.
Test pilots were the right stuff. If anybody ever watches the Wolf movie, they realize that astronauts are just spam in a can. These are guys that just get sent up there and they're anal retentive and they do all these weird tests on them, just like if they were chimps and stuff like that. You know, and except with Apollo 13, which really had to be innovative and to bring that crew back. That was probably the greatest thing in American flight, or at least extraterrestrial flight, I think, and I would applaud them. Going, why would you want to go to the moon?
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously. I mean, holy cow. It's cold, it's hot, no water.
I have a theory. It's called testosterone.
Yeah.
You go into any club. I've been to the moon. Who wants to go home with me?
I'll show you a moon. Moon over Vermont. Yeah, that's true. It's like it's funny. Our society is.
How'd you become a 5-year-old arson?
Arsonist?
Yeah, an arsonist.
Knew where the matches were. Mom smoked.
Yeah.
Mom smoked. She couldn't hide those matches from me for long, and I just loved to light a fire.
Who is Rockwell Dennis Hunt?
Oh, that would be my grandpa. My great-grandpa. Rockwell Dennis Hunt was one of the founders of, he moved the College of the Pacific from San Jose to Stockton and combined two colleges together, and he was also named Mr. California by Governor Knight. He was 98 years old when he died. He wrote a bunch of books, history books. He knew John Muir. He knew a lot of the founding fathers of California, and he was just a historian, a teacher, and I got that from him. And originally his father was from Vermont.
Oh,
which kind of goes around, comes around.
Nice. And now you had a family member who was a locksmith.
That would be Grover Souter, who was Malibu Lock and Key, and before that he was Hollywood Lock and Key.
And you were
Grover's Lock and Key, and I learned the intricacies of breaking and entering at a very early age.
That, with your background in lighting things on fire, could come in handy.
Oh, it's how to get out of a burning building, and usually use the doorknob. But I could pick locks, if a Schleg is master key,
right,
I can get in 15 seconds.
And one of his clients was Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes he used to try and break into all these damsel in distress type things, and I think my grandfather showed him the intricacies of breaking and entering also.
Did you ever meet Howard Hughes?
Never met Howard Hughes. I met a lot of the other guys that hung around Grover's Key Service, William Holden, and who's the guy who had the driving gloves, the one, the poster I have in my house.
Oh, Lee Marvin.
Lee Marvin. I just met Lee Marvin. I met a lot of people that used to
hang
hang out.
I know why you didn't meet Howard Hughes. His plane's made out of wood.
Yeah, it's Howard. I met a lot of people. I've been around the block. I'm a Hollywood kid. I'm the wrong stuff.
That's right. After the '75 World Series, you visited China. What were some of the circumstances in going there?
I was brought in by a group called Guardian Magazine out of London, which was a really left-wing paper, and Dr. Harry Edwards, Phil Shinnick, who drove Patty Hearst to the farmhouse, a bunch of Oberlin College co-eds. It was more of a friendship first, competition second tour.
Right.
To be the first athletes to go and extend an olive branch to the Chinese. you know,
That's good.
And that's what I was part of. George Stark from the Redskins. There were a lot of great athletes on that tour, and I was one of them, and I got to go and see the real Big Red Machine.
That's true. Is that where you started to pick up some of the Eastern philosophies from that trip?
I think I had them before that.
All right.
That was 75, 76.
Right.
I was into yoga and the Cleveland Library when I got into Paramahasa Yogananda and George Ivanovich Gurdjieff and Ospensky and some of those Caucasus Mountains kind of old Gilgamesh epic type things where I was storytelling, and I learned there. You know, you learn from the old mythology, the Joseph Campbell, and things that I had grown up with that kind of influenced my foundation on mythology and man, and you know, and what is it? Hitchens just right. God is not great. And he's taken a lot of heat from that. But you know, I believe in God, and I believe she's pissed.
Well, she might elect a woman president, maybe. Okay, I'm going to close off on the wrong stuff here. Bernie Carbo and Rodney Scott.
Yeah, they're as the old saying in the movie. I stuck up for Bernie Carbo with the Red Sox, and it cost my job with the Red Sox. And with the Expos, I stuck up for Rodney Scott, and that cost my job in baseball.
But some say you put your neck out on the line for, at best, mediocre players.
Yeah.
Were they mediocre, or did they offer something?
At the time, they were sensational players. Dick Williams said that Rodney was our most valuable player for 3 years in a row, and Bernie Carbo hit some of the clutchest pitch hits in the history of the game. And in 1978, not one Red Sox pitch hitter drove in a run after Carbo was traded. Ooh. And we lost by 1 game to the New York Yankees. Oh. And as Casey Stengel
said, so it's the little things.
You can look it up. It's the little things. Baseball is it's an amazing thing. If Roberts doesn't steal second base off of Mariano Rivera, the Red Sox don't win in 2004. Little things. It's the little things. It's the combination of the team put together.
That could be a follow-up book.
Well, it's the little thing.
What college did you go to, and what was your major?
I went to the University of Southern California. I was a pre-dentistry major starting out, and then I realized I didn't have trig. I didn't have a lot of the courses that I should have gotten in high school to matriculate, so I switched to a liberal arts and went into geography and geology. Then I realized I didn't have trig for geology, so I stuck with geography and got a degree in geography, and you know, was working on my master's in political geography when I got thrown out of Hattiesburg, which is no big thing. Go Golden Eagles.
How was campus life at the time? This is in the 1960s.
Oh, campus life? I was scared to death. I hated it. I lived in this small dormitory. I lived with this redneck named Fry from Colorado, and all he liked to do was lay on his back and light farts with a Bic lighter. Actually, what a Bic was, a Zippo. And there's not much happening in college campus life, and I used to run away. I cried. I ran away to my uncle's house. I'd always go out to Malibu and work picking locks. I like meticulous little work like that. You know, I liked little work, and I was good. But I hated school.
But if you didn't go there, chances are you wouldn't have made it to the big leagues.
Oh, I never would have made it to the big leagues if I don't go to USC and meet Rod Dedeaux.
How do you?
Rod Dedeaux I had the desire, I had the stick-to-itiveness that I learned from the DNA of both my grandparents and my dad and my aunt and everybody. But Rod polished it up to a perfection of an intelligence in the game, which allowed me, being a mediocre athlete, to really be a devastating pitcher psychologically and mentally. And that honed it out. In other words, I was not that great physically, but I'll steal all your candy. You know.
And you won the College World Series.
Won the College World Series, and that was I had really good perseverance. I was able to throw all the time, always wanted the ball, never ducked an assignment. And there was an article Zim wrote that Lee's a quitter, and then a guy from the Hartford Courant wrote a great article, Lee's no quitter, Zim, and he went down the line of all the times that I took the ball, and all the times, and I really thank that writer from Hartford and it's one of the great articles written about me. Lee's no quitter, and put that in your pipe and smoke it, Zimmer.
But you got along with him.
I got along with Zimmer when he was a coach. Right. I just did not get along with him when he was a manager because the Peter principle allows you to rise to the level of your incapabilities, and that's what happened to him as a manager because he was hamstrung by being a little red-ass middle infielder and third baseman and stuff.
And he has a steel plate in his hand.
He hated it. I told Zim the only thing, Zim, you know one thing about pitching. He goes, "What's that, Bill?" I went, "It's hard to hit." Because I could change speed. He's the kind of guy I would never challenge him. Right. He always wanted to be challenged. Hitters want to be challenged, but if you can get them out without challenging them, why challenge them?
Exactly. So while in college, did anyone say, "Bill, we know you love baseball, but the big leagues just isn't for you"?
Oh yeah, Al Campanis. Oh. Al Campanis of the Dodgers said I'd never pitch in the big leagues. Ooh. That goes to show what kind of general manager he was. But I believe every general manager has his day, and I think he was a good general manager with certain ball clubs, and then the Peter principle. You finally get up, and then you start believing your own press clippings, and that's what happens when guys fall. Hubris. That's what Icarus and Daedalus. You fly too close to the sun. And eventually. The three fates. You can never get away from the three fates. It's athos, pathos, and lethos. And if you try, as Aristotle said, luck is when the arrow hits the guy next to you.
The three fates sounds like a Greek restaurant.
The three fates. That'd be a good video game.
Yeah.
The three fates.
You
like that?
Yeah, I do. Let's talk about the astronaut and the traditional rebel, which is an oxymoron in terms.
Yeah.
Traditionalist, but you're a rebel.
Yeah, that was by Palakis, who wrote a thesis at Bowling Green University called Bill Lee, the Rebel Hero in American Sport. And it's a beautiful piece of writing. He calls me the Osarian, the only sane mind in a game of idiocy in some respects, and just like war, and Palakis, I can't remember what it says. It's in the Journal of Popular Culture, 1987, and you can look it up. And it's a great article, and it's probably the greatest thing ever written about me, and the most flattering thing ever written about me.
That's cool. And there's iconic pictures of you in an astronaut outfit winding up the throw. Yeah,
that was on Sports Illustrated. They wanted a cover piece for their thing. The Spaceman was throwing really good, and it was 78, I believe. And
but was that to protest air pollution, or? No,
that was just they wanted me in a spaceman suit, an authentic Buzz Aldrin, made in Hartford, Connecticut suit, and they wanted me on the mound, and it was of all places, on the road. They flew it into Milwaukee. And I wore it in Milwaukee. I hit a home run in that outfit too. I said, if I'm going to make me pitch and everything else, you got to throw me a few balls. I'm going to see if I can hit in this outfit. And I wrapped one around the right field pole.
How was it running around the bases in that?
I didn't run. I just they couldn't get it. If you notice in the picture, the boots, the zippers down. My fly is all the way open in that outfit because I couldn't get it on because astronauts weren't as big as me. They're all little short guys.
Okay. Earlier you had mentioned you were pro-environment before Al Gore.
Oh yeah, 1969, Limits to Growth by the Meadows out of MIT. Probably one of the great fundamental pegs in my, my bookstore, along with Buckminster Fuller's Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth, which was written in 69. 69 was an amazing year. It's the year I came up to the big leagues. It was Woodstock. It was the protest in Vietnam. There was a very big counterculture thing then, and we were going to take over the planet and make it a more peaceful place. Well, we got stoned and we didn't.
Okay, now you're also a farmer. Are there any telltale signs that the environment is...
Oh yes, ferns. Ferns are encroaching in all the hardwood forests of the Northeast because of acid rain. Ferns are, as they take the seedlings, and it doesn't allow the young maple tree to grow. And as Suzuki, the great Canadian, said, the maple tree may be extinct by the end of the century. You know, which is very sad, because what are we going to put on our pancakes?
Well, there's a quote, but...
Yeah.
Okay, and then this will bring me to the topic, grass versus AstroTurf. With a lot of ballparks being natural grass, is that a waste of resources?
No, because AstroTurf is made out of a synthetic, out of polyurethane, which is made out of petroleum. So you're basically using a non-renewable product to make something that grass grows all the time and grows every day because of photosynthesis. And all ballparks, Kinsella wrote the book called Thrill of the Grass, a little short story, and that was the most amazing story about 1981 in Philadelphia, which is a must read. And you know, natural is always better, as the great Tug McGraw once said. You know, what's the difference between AstroTurf and natural grass? He goes, hey, I never smoked AstroTurf.
You smoke grass. As a traditionalist, what are your thoughts of Comiskey Park and soon Tiger Stadium being destroyed?
Oh, the old brick stadium, they're going to tear it down. It's inevitable that certain things fall into decay, and if you don't keep them up, they become a trap and stuff. And Comerica Park was the wrong way to go. They should have kept bricks, they should have fixed it up. I believe in these small, quaint stadiums where Ernie Harwell did some of his best broadcasting, and it's a shame. And Comiskey was, the new Comiskey's just as bad as the old Comiskey. You know, the urinals didn't work. They had to build it higher because the people in the tenements were shooting into the stadium in the south side of Chicago. There are a whole lot of things that people don't know about that ballpark. And it's, they're, you know, build a new ballpark. Why don't you fix the inner city, you know? Make it so that there's a little bit of equity between the north side of Chicago and the south side of Chicago, instead of driving all the people out to the suburbs and then making the inside of your cities look like donut holes.
Right.
You know.
Or you can steal a team from someone else's city and use the public treasury to build a stadium.
Yeah, that would be our nation's capital. First in war, first in peace, last in the National League East.
With these ballparks going down, is Fenway next?
No, Fenway has been saved. It's a preserved site. I was instrumental in that with a group out of Cambridge called Save Fenway Park. And the new owner, John Henry, agreed with us, and that's why he bought the ball club. And he's put all his resources into restoring that place and making it better every year. And that's why the Red Sox will win the next 20 World Series in a row.
He cursed them. He cursed them.
Yeah, 18 out of 20, what the heck.
All right.
Not that we're counting. They're a good ball club, you know.
Should there be another round added to the playoffs?
Wow, no, it's long enough because it encroaches. Hockey starts sooner and basketball starts sooner. You just got no time for tiddlywinks anymore. You got to play a 154 game schedule, 162 game schedule. I feel sorry for the Colorado Rockies. I think they were shortchanged because they were so good and Arizona was so bad that it forced them to win too soon, which acted against them. So their own success actually destroyed them.
True. They peaked.
Yeah, they peaked too soon.
But they won 21 out of 22 and they got swept easily.
It was all because of the delay.
You think so?
Oh yeah, you can't sustain momentum and if you're not playing.
Right.
You just can't sustain momentum if you're sitting on your ass playing with yourselves.
But does that make the entire National League look bad?
No, it just shows that they were a gutsy team. Clint Hurdle did a great job. I mean, they all believed in themselves. They all played well, and you know, you just they just they succumbed to their own success, and it's a sad thing. But you lost to the Red Sox, and they were a good ball club too. I think the two best teams were in it at the end.
Okay.
The trouble is, one team didn't have any gas in their tank.
What's the nightmare matchup for you? Yankees versus...
Oh, Yankees? No. The Yankees, you got to give Steinbrenner credit. He brought competition back. They were very bad when I played there, and they gave us something to hate.
Right.
And it really is a stimulant for Red Sox Nation, which I do not agree with. I don't believe in nations of any sort. I'm not a flag waver. I'm more of a universalist. But bad matchups, just bad baseball. The Red Sox-Yankees are 4.5-hour ball games. Kids don't get to see them. We're over-specializing the sport that is basically going to be its own demise under the weight of commercialism, and we've got to find ways to play quicker games. We've got to keep the baseball in the ball game. Just because it gets a blemish on it, leave it in the ball game. Rub it off. What are umpires? They used to rub up the baseballs. Now they send them out to someone else to rub up the baseballs. The umpires don't do their jobs anymore. And that's a shame. It's because we got rid of the American League and the National League president, which used to have used to be a little difference between the two of them, a little rivalry. And now it's just homogenized with that damn Bud Selig baseball that sucks.
Can a DH win the MVP, in your opinion?
Oh yeah, DH can win it. Ortiz can win it. Anybody that carries a ball club is your most valuable player. If he's the guy who drives in all the clutch runs with 2 outs and wins 25 ball games in the 9th inning, he's your MVP. I don't care what job he does.
Can a closer win the Cy Young?
Yeah, closers win Cy Youngs. If you close Gagne, close 93 ball games in a row or something like that. That's an amazing statistic. No one beat him. Mike Marshall was MVP one year. No one threw more games than Mike Marshall.
Let's talk about this one.
Oh my God. Oh, this is just...
Okay.
Why would a Red Sox author put Yogi Berra on the cover?
Exactly.
It was not my idea as a publishing,
Who would you have liked to have put?
Me? No. No, Yogi's a philosopher. I think it's great. I love the way Jim and I put everything into chapters based on the way we sorted it out. I think we work fast, we work good. He's a brilliant author, and the two of us together did a great job on this. This is a hilarious book that a lot of people have not read. And the ones that have read it they end up in a mental institution because they're laughing all the time. They're not doing what they should be doing.
Well, going into the project, did you have any personal eccentrics that you wanted to put in there?
No, I wanted to be told about it. I wanted to know the history. Jim had it, and then it was my take on this and why they were eccentric or why they weren't eccentric. And eccentricity is original thinking, and I believe in that. And guys like Johnstone are just they're plagiarists in a lot of ways. I mean, he does a lot of good things and stuff, but he's not exactly the original eccentric. He did pranks, and he's more of the prankster type, which is another chapter in here.
Did you ever do a prank?
No, not really. I don't like to embarrass other people. I don't like to call attention to myself. Other people would say I do, but I don't on behalf of myself. I call attention to problems in the planet, and I call attention, and I believe I'm an original thinker that way. Or at least I can correlate all the things that I have learned and make it like Al Gore, original thinking.
He invented baseball.
Al Gore invented that's true. Al Gore is unbelievable. Gore Vidal is from that family too, and he's an original thinker. His American essays are some of the greatest collections of stories that will never be read because he's gay.
So you have players and owners and everyone. George W. Bush at one time was the owner of the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, go figure. Impeach George W. Bush for trading Sammy Sosa. That is my mantra.
I guess baseball people shouldn't run the country.
Yeah, no, it's a good little book. I've done good. I got You know, I've written some good stuff, and I've got Jim is a Canadian, you know, and he's a brilliant author, and he puts things in the perspective, and you know, that's. I like to sit down. I like to write poetry. I'm going to end up writing poetry, I think.
Nice.
That's what I'm going to probably end up writing, and I want to be an artist. You know, I want to be an impressionist from the Pacific Northwest. I want to make birdhouses out of driftwood.
In it, you mentioned Fenway Park's haunted.
Fenway Park is haunted. It's built on a landfill. It's basically reclaimed land, you know, and you know, there's a lot of clam bogs and everything else around there, and you know, Boston, the whole damn town of Boston is just a swamp that's been reclaimed, you know, and if you look at the market in Faneuil Hall, the water used to come all the way up and lap right up along the side there where they brought the boats in. Now it goes all the way down to the wharf and Long Wharf, and that's all reclaimed land. But guess what? According to Al Gore, I'm back.
I think he invented spiritualism.
He invented global warming. He invented the ice caps are melting. No, it's not. NASA said it's just circulations of currents under the earth and stuff like that.
He invented the split finger fastball.
Yeah, he invented the forkball. His wife, though, broke up all those Led Zeppelin albums in Tennessee, and boy, that's why I didn't vote for it.
But you mentioned former Red Sox owner who passed away is one of the ghosts who haunts it. How do you pronounce his name? Yowley?
Oh, Yawkey. Tom
Yawkey.
Well, Tom Yawkey he's a Southerner. He was adopted. He's one of these kids that was an orphan kid that got into a family and inherited, you know, billions of dollars, and he owned 1/7 of the coastline of South Carolina, and he killed all these birds because he was a devotee of getting rid of the soft pine beetle any way you could, and he was a DDT freak. Ooh. And he wondered why all the birds were dying, and I said, Tom, you've killed them all, and you're going to have to come back and as a bird, and you're going to have to go through those certain vendas and everything else that all Hindus have to come back as. And then I saw him as a pigeon one day, and I've seen him and his wife as crows lately. So he's around.
That's cool. All right, so we're going to close it up because I'm on the last page here. The Montreal nightlife versus the Montreal Expos.
Wow. The Montreal nightlife will eat you up. But for 79, 80, and 81, we had the power to survive that. Why? Because the other teams partied harder than us. Because this town would eat you up. Crescent Street, 4 in the morning, would eat a Philadelphia Philly and spit him back on the street. It killed Keith Hernandez. It killed them all. It killed them, and we went out and we devastated. We were the best ball club, all except for those 3 bad pitches that Bonson threw, and Steve Rogers hung that curveball, and Rick Mundy hit that. But Steve had a great year. I mean, for a pigeon-toed guy, he's the best pigeon-toed pitcher I ever saw.
He was your co-representative with the Expos.
Yes, he was co-representative, and he didn't represent me when I got banished. You know, I was eating that egg salad sandwich at John Milner's the day that I stuck up for Rodney Scott. You never saw Cy. He used to call himself Cy after Cy Young, but really, when the going got tough, his name was Sayonara.
And you pitched against him this past June.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I love pitching against Steve. He's still hard to hit. He's a sinker ball pitcher, but if he throws me that sinker, I'm going to hit it right up the middle, right between his forehead, and he will have an upside-down cross, just like George W. Bush. He go happy hunting ground.
Nice. So in Baseball Mogul 2008, you get to assume the role of the general manager of the franchise.
Wow.
If you could be a GM from 1901 to 2007, which team and what would you do?
Wow. 27 Yankees. There's a lot of great teams. I'll take the Red Sox of last year.
Oh.
I'd take the Red Sox and I'd beat you. I'd beat you up in a heartbeat, especially when they're firing on all cylinders. And we saw them. When Beckett was throwing and Schilling was throwing and Matsuzaka and Papelbon, the River Dancer as a closer, there was no team that could beat that ball club in a 7-game series that I've ever seen around. I mean, they're better than the Big Red Machine. The Big Red Machine didn't have the pitching that the Red Sox had, especially when they're firing on all cylinders. There's a lot of great teams out there, that played this game. The old, during the time, the St. Louis Cardinals were as good as anyone. The Gas House Gang, you had Dean, you had all these great ball players, and they were tough and they hated each other. They weren't beating up on the league, they were beating up on themselves. And the Oakland team of 72, 73, 74, those were, Catfish Hunter, all those guys on that, Raleigh Fingers in the bullpen, Blue Moon Odom, Vita Blue. They were a pretty good, formidable team, too. There's a lot of great teams. And you put together great teams through great farm systems. And Branch Rickey, brought up guys, the Dodgers and Pittsburgh, and you look at some of the great teams. General manager is someone that knows what he's doing, a good one. And he has that one moment in the sun when all things are firing on, he's got a new concept. And that guy in Oakland, Billy Beane ain't one of them. But Billy Beane's biggest flaw is that he doesn't like baseball.
Oh.
He doesn't watch the ball games. He gets in his car and goes home. He was a phenom that didn't make it, and he just doesn't like to surround himself with phenoms. He likes to make it with the Hattiesburgs and the underachievers, which is a good thing, because those are your Euclides and your Pedroias and your guys that can hit with 2 strikes. Those are great ball players too. But you better have the big dogs too. You better have the Ortizes, and you better have the Manny Ramirez's and the Lowe that hits in the clutch.
But he might not be there.
Oh, he'll be there.
He'll be there?
We'll get Lowe.
He's saying no to $40 million.
Is he?
Over 3 years, he wants to test the market.
Oh, don't do it. You don't need the money. See, you'll fall. You've got gray hair. You have gray hair in your beard. And as in the great Tom Roberts, the Tom Roberts novels, Still Life and Woodpecker, and all the other ones. Once you get a little gray in your beard, your kids are going to kill you.
All right, so on that, that's cool. That's cool.
That's Shakespeare all the way.
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
that's
all the way.
Shakespeare.
Once you see the gray, you're
That's
wonderful.
good. Well, we'll just ask him. So, any plans in the new year? Are you still going to tour?
I want to go see my doctor and get a shot and rehab my left knee and lose another 15 pounds, and I want to come back as a ballerina.
Right. Well, thank you.
Actually, my wife said I got to dance more. I owe it to her. Diana, who's put up with me all these times, and we're going to go to BC, and I'm going to retire. I want to make bar stools. They're already done.
All right, cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.